up guys, this is Heeking here bringing you a film movie review on Guardians of the Galaxy. My apologies, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So, I just got back from seeing it and what did I think? Was it a good film? Was it a bad one? Oh, is it as good as the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, or is it subpar, or is it just as good or even better? Well, I'm here to tell you that I liked it. I thought it was a very good film, and that I kind of agree with some of the critics out there who criticize this movie for its certain flaws, because this movie does have flaws, but mind you, I really didn't have a big problem with it. Yeah, the movie is a bit too funny at times. And I get that some people are not into that kind of humor, especially with the kind of humor we had in Iron Man 3 or For the Dark World. But it's not as cringe-worthy of that kind of humor. It doesn't feel as forced. The humor works in terms of the characters and the interactions. So, you kind of expect this kind of talk from these characters. It works, it's funny, it does drag at times, but not to the extent that everyone's criticized it. So in a way, it's not that bad actually. So, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 takes place around 3 months after the events of 1. So technically speaking, this is a Phase 2 movie. Or in this case, you can make the argument it takes place during Phase 2. So yeah, there is that. And for a weird thing, this movie feels very standalone-ish. There isn't that many hints or connections to past Marvel movies. It really does feel like its own thing. It stands on its own 2 legs and it just, it works, okay? For a sequel that's meant to develop the characters, it does that. The first movie was about introducing them and getting to know their personalities and their quirks, and this one is about developing the characters, and we get a lot of that. Especially a lot of humor as well. Again, take it or leave it. It depends on your attitude and how you feel. If you liked the first movie, you liked all the crazy shit that was going on in that, then this is kind of like up to 10. So you're either going to love it or hate it. I loved it. I thought it was really good. It held my attention a lot. And damn, this is one of the most emotional movies to date. Yeah, there are some emotional scenes in this movie, especially the final. The third act of this movie is just downright insane. And it's really good. It's an emotional, satisfying final. And the action sequences and the way the characters come together at the end, it's just handled perfectly. So yeah, definitely a very good final compared to most Marvel movies that we've gotten. It seems that they're finally getting onto the track of, delivering us good finals, because some of the past movies just didn't quite do it, but this one does. It's great. And the first act as well, it's a nice way to start the film. It's sort of modeled in the middle, but again, I didn't have a big problem with it. If you liked Empire Strikes Back in terms of how the characters split up and we kind of see what each character is doing on their own individual journey, then this movie kind of, you shouldn't have a problem with this film because it does the same thing. Now, in terms of characters, this movie focuses a lot on Peter Quill and his relationship with his father, Kurt Russell, who plays Ego the Living Planet. It's not Adam Warlock, aka, what was it, Adam Warlock? Damn, I forgot what his other name is. So yeah, it's definitely not Adam Warlock, and it's definitely not Starhawk, who's actually in this movie, by the way. Starhawk, I believe, is in this film. But no, his dad in this is Ego the Living Planet, whereas in the comics, it's someone else. But in this film, it's Ego the Living Planet, and as the name says, Ego is a living planet. It's a bit weird, but once you watch the film and you sit down, you get an introduction, understanding what his character is. It all makes perfect bloody sense, and it works really well in terms of setting up Quill as this sort of very important character. I mean, he was already important beforehand, and if they went with the comic direction, he probably would have been sort of like a prince. But here, it's a bit more bigger than that. It's a bit more like, damn, holy shit, when you find out the truth. Like, in terms of twists and turns, this movie's got a very, very good twists and turns in this film. Some that I don't think a lot of people are going to see coming. Unless you're a hardcore comic reader who knows their shit, who's done their research, you can kind of see the big twist of this film coming from a mile away. That said, the twist is sort of set up very early on as well. I mean, me especially, when the trailers and everything came out, I kind of went, I bet this is going to happen in this movie. And it did happen, but the reasons behind why this twist happens and the motivations behind it and the whole story behind it was very unexpected, and it goes into some very dark, unexpected, crazy shit. So kudos to Marvel for delivering a very kind of dark story element here. As I said, this movie is about Peter Quill and his relationship with his dad. So we kind of see the dynamic between him meeting his father for the first time, while also seeing the dynamic between him and his relationship with Yondu, you know, his surrogate father. So we kind of, the whole theme of this movie is basically family. So we kind of see like what it means, what family basically means. Are the Ravagers his family? Is his dad his family? Are the Guardians his family? Is blood thicker than war? Is water thicker than blood? And those are the questions that this movie tries to answer, and that it's all about, really. At the same time, again, you got Yondu, as I said, you know, his relationship is developed with Quill. We got a bit more understanding of what Quill means to him, and we learn more about the Ravagers and the mythology, as well as we learn more about Quill and where he comes from and his dad, and more about the world at hand. I mean, this entire cosmic universe has a lot more going on than we thought, and it's really built upon, and the groundwork is really set up for a more bigger expansion later on in the sequels if we get it. We also have the relationship between Gamora and Nebula. Nebula, she was sort of this antagonist character, and here she kind of plays an antagonist role, but there's a bit more to her character. Like I said, a lot of this movie is character driven, so you get a lot more layers to these characters. If you liked these characters, you're gonna love them even more in the sequel. And we get this rivalry, sister rivalry between the characters, and we get a bit more understanding about Nebula and her kind of rivalry with Gamora. And at the same time, Thanos he's not even in this movie, but he gets developed. We get a bit more understanding what Thanos means to Nebula and Gamora. We get more understanding what a super major prick this guy is and why he needs to be taken down. So yeah, that's very great. You know, the character's not in the film, but he gets talked about, he gets mentioned, and it's great to see that, great to hear that. You also have new character Mantis in this movie. I mean, she's this character who's basically Ego's sort of guardian. You know, she takes care of him, and she's got the abilities to feel people and what they're feeling, and at the same time has the abilities to put people to sleep. So there's a bit of a manipulation kind of thing going on. And her character is sort of developed along with Drax's. In a way, she's kind of the female version of Drax in terms of not really being conscious or self-conscious understanding of how certain things work. So these two characters, they get their dynamics together. It's sort of kind of like a father slash daughter slash potential love interest sort of vibe that goes on with them. And these two are kind of the characters that deliver more of the laughs in this film. They don't really do much, but they're very interesting characters, and I'm hoping they're taking them to more further places when the sequels, when we get to it, because it's a nice setup and introduction for what goes on here with them. You also have Rocket, you know, voiced by Bradley Cooper. I mean, that voice, damn, that's a beautiful voice. And we got Groot as well, again, voiced by Vin Diesel. And Groot, yeah, he's cute, he's adorable, he's a baby now, and he doesn't really do much until the final, where every character gets the moment to shine. So he's just sort of there looking all cuddly and that, and being the gag of a joke most of the time. Like I said, the humor, it's good, it's just sometimes it goes on a bit too long. So, you know, you gotta have patience with this movie. But as I said, you know, you get a lot more development with Rocket here, and him sort of looking after Groot, because he's basically the baby of the team. And at the same time, there's a lot more interaction between Rocket and Yondu as well. I mean, these two characters are actually very similar, so there's a nice interaction with these guys when we get to it. Then we have the villains of the movie. We've got Taserface, who's basically one of the members of the Ravagers, and there's a sort of a mutiny that goes on, and that kind of explains why Yondu ends up coming to the Guardian side and trying to help them. And then you also have Ayesha, aka Her, who's the High Priestess of the Sovereign. These guys are the ones who hire the Guardians at the beginning of the movie to take care of a little problem, which is a great opening sequence, by the way. Very funny, very fun to watch. A lot of crazy shit going on in the background. You've got Groot there. Great opening, really. Great opening, great music and soundtracks thrown in. The awesome mixtape in this movie is memorable as hell. Maybe not as memorable as one. Definitely more memorable songs in the first movie than this one, but it's just as good, if not better. And yeah, you've got the villains here. You've got Taserface and Her. And, you know, because it's Her, yeah, and she's definitely a big, huge connection to him, aka Adam Warlock. And yeah, if you're wondering if he's in this movie, he was meant to be in the film, but he's not. Instead, he's going to be in the third one. So yeah, he's not in this movie, unfortunately. Or is he? In terms of villains, Taserface is, he's just sort of there. He's basically like the henchman character of the film. And then Ayesha is sort of like the main well, I wouldn't even say main, she's sort of the secondary bad guy, because yeah, there is a main villain in this movie, and that was one of the most surprising parts of this film. But at the same time, if you know your shit, you'll probably see this coming from a mile away. But yeah, the main villain in this movie, very unexpected and very surprising. In terms of what their goals and plans are, you know, I didn't think about it. I didn't think they would go in that direction, but they did. And honestly, this is one of the best villains that Marvel has done in a while, to be honest. It's definitely great. A very big threat, actually, when you think about what their plot is, and a very dark character and a very dark reason for what they do. So yeah, terrific villain in terms of that. Very good main villain for once. Well done, Marvel. Well done. So yeah, very heavy character-driven movie. Every character gets their moment. A lot of characters get their backstories sort of basically told, but a lot more focus on Peter, especially Rocket and Yondu. And Yondu is definitely the scene stealer of the movie. He definitely takes the cake for being the best developed character in this movie and for having the most standout scenes. I mean, that whistle, that arrow whistle, whatever you like to call it, man, that shit does some crazy crap in this movie, and it's great. We only got like one sequence of that in the first film, but here we get a lot, and it's beautiful. I mean, some of the action sequences in this movie, like I said, the opening itself is great all around. Gives you a nice dynamic of what the characters' personalities are and what the, you know, the strengths and weaknesses are, and we kind of get that in the opening. And then afterwards, we get a nice big chase sequence as well, with the Sovereign going after them after Rocket decides to do something stupid that basically sets the entire plot of the film up and why everyone's after them. You got another prison escape scene, which I won't go into too much, but it's great to see it. Prison escape scenes in movies are always the best parts, and that's definitely one of the best parts of the movie. But that final battle that we get in this movie, holy crap. The visual effects, man, the visual effects, mwah, beautiful, beautiful to look at. The whole color vibe that goes on in this movie, and seriously, you know, for everyone's saying, oh, movies need to be dark and gloomy and shit, yeah, that might work if it's Batman. But not with these movies, not with the Marvel films. These Marvel films, especially when they decide to go into space and explore the whole galaxy stuff, it needs to be colourful and crap. And we get a lot of colour here. I mean, damn. It's just beautiful to look at. And that just sets it apart from a lot of the other kind of comic book / superhero movies you get. But yeah, definitely good visual effects, definitely good action sequences, very good character development moments. Yeah, the humour goes on for a bit too long, but what are you going to do, right? It's Marvel, and it's Guardians of the Galaxy especially. It needs to be funny. I mean, this was a concept at first that a lot of people wouldn't take seriously. I mean, it's about a talking tree and a raccoon. I mean, how are you going to sell that if it's not funny? And yeah, for the most part, it delivers. And it's definitely a good sequel, in my opinion. You know, you might expect more in terms of the story, but yeah, like I said, it's a character-driven movie. It's about the characters and us getting to know them a bit more, and the movie does that remarkably well. Overall, I'm going to give this movie an amazing 8 out of 10. I know, you're probably expecting higher, but yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It was good. It was really good, and it's definitely worth buying on Blu-ray when it comes out if you're an avid collector like I am. But yeah, definitely a good start to Marvel for this year. I can't wait to see what they got next. Spider-Man's the next Marvel movie coming out, and afterwards we're going to be ending it with Thor Ragnarok, which is another cosmic side sort of adventure that we're getting. So yeah, if this is a good example of what the cosmic side has to hold for Marvel in the future, then I can't wait to see what they got with the next couple of movies coming out. Also, there's 5 end credit scenes in this movie. Sort of. Overall, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. As always, like and subscribe, whatever, and I shall see you when I shall see you. Take care and bye.